Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Tuesday, the 30th of May, starting off with the FTSE 100, where we've got a bit of a block here at the old April support, 76.30, which is slightly disappointing, it has to be said. Below that, we've got the floor of the rising trend channel from August, and the 200-day line around 75.20 is potential support. If the 200-day line breaks, then there's obviously the risk of a retest of March support down at 7,200, which obviously would not be a very happy scenario. Above 76.30, then we're looking at potentially up to 78.60 and that February resistance line projection, which is the main block on a potential move to the upside. Onto the DAX, which has been a better version of the FTSE for quite some time. Here we're trading above the old initial May resistance, 15,900. Above that, we're looking for a retest of recent resistance around 16,300, and through that would be best case scenario target by the end of next month around 16,800. The fact that the DAX managed to rebound above the rising 50-day line is a continuation signal and does suggest that the next move here should be up. On to the Dow, which one would expect will be all guns blazing with the debt ceiling resolution that we were supposed to have had. Here we bounced off the 200-day line. In fact, I mean, the whole decline there from the beginning of May, 34,000 down to 32,600 or so, really. I mean, a bit of a fake move in the sense that it was almost impossible for that debt situation not to be resolved. But I suppose it gives buyers another chance to buy at the 200-day line, which so far they have. End of day close above the 50-day moving average, 33,300, could take us back to 34,000. If you are cautious, you wait for the RSI to break neutral 50. It's still away from that at the moment, just under 46. On to Bitcoin, and here things are looking slightly better in the sense that we've broken that line of resistance. If I draw it properly, we've broken that line of resistance there from April at around 27,300. Above that, looking for the 50-day line to break and then a move up to 30,000 plus. 50-day moving average currently around 28,300. If we get back above the 50-day line, we've got the chance of a best case scenario target by the end of next month up to 34,600, which is last June's resistance line projection. On the downside, support notionally around 26,700, late March support, and then at 25,000 as a worst case scenario. RSI back above neutral 50 at just under 55, which means we are feeling quite chipper about the prospects for Bitcoin near term. On to the stocks, and a large collection today. Almost impossible to narrow it down. I didn't really feel like narrowing it down on this shortened bank holiday ruined week. Here we've got, starting off with our exploration, which had double announcement today. Beautiful tight bull flag there, just between 24.5 and 25 pence. That looks like a mid-move consolidation. We've already had an unfilled gap to the upside earlier in the month, so this looks as though it will have 28 or 29 pence at that August resistance line in place by the next, well, over the next week or two, and by the end of next month we could see the shares up to as high as 40 pence, given how tight that bull flag is, and given that we are in the wake of an unfilled gap to the upside through record highs as well, which is also pretty impressive. Early back below 22 pence, which was resistance on the earlier this month, really delaying the upside scenario. On to Berkeley Energia, which seems to have enjoyed the prospects of a snap election in Spain. Let's see what could possibly happen there with this company, given where it is on the fundamental front. Here we're just breaking a line of resistance there from March last year around 24 pence. Above that, looking for not only a retest of this year's resistance around 26 pence, but up to 42 pence as soon as the end of next month. Just looking for a move, type of move that we had back in February, March 2022. Only back below 22 pence, really delaying the upside scenario. That was the resistance ahead of the latest breakout. Full marks to Celadon, which has finessed last week's news regarding a contract win with funding news today. Rising trend channel here, based at the 50-day line around £1.46, and above that we're looking for the top of the rising trend channel, £2.20 as soon as the end of next month. Ideally, there's no price action now on a mid-close basis below the £1.60 level, the floor of the last gap. On to CleanTech Lithium, which is interesting today. Good update from the company today, but perhaps needs to do a bit more to allay fears of the Chile situation there in terms of nationalisation. If they do that, I think the shares will probably be back to the 90p zone in a heartbeat. Current situation, though, is that we're waiting for an end-of-day close above the rising 200-day moving average around 49.75 above that. Then we should be up at 60p sometime during June. This stage only well below 40p, really delaying the recovery scenario. And you can see the unfilled gap to the upside from last week. So that is a very strong setup there for the share. So maybe people are realizing or coming to the view that CleanTech is a decent play. On to Drumz, which came up with another update today regarding acuity, etc., etc. Here we've had an unfilled gap to the upside off the lows, which is normally a good signal. We already highlighted the bullish divergence that the shares were delivering, and that suggests that initially, hopefully over the next couple of weeks, we'll hit 7p at the top of that falling trend channel there from the autumn. Best case scenario over the next 2 to 3 months, up to 12p at the top of that broadening triangle from September, so maybe by the end of July. Ideally no fresh lows, obviously below 4.75p. One of the better situations in terms of recovery is Enwell, and here unfilled gap to the upside, breaking the 50-day line, breaking the 200-day moving average. We're looking for 30p initially, and eventually, maybe by the end of next month, up to 40p at a 2022 resistance line projection. Upside valid while we're above 22p in that broken November resistance line. Moving along to probably the stock of the day with its titanium news, Empire Metals, already bouncing above the 200-day line, which is why I refer to it on over the weekend, and the technicals work there above the 50-day moving average now at 2.1p. We're looking for not only the top of the rising trend channel from last year as high as 3.3p, but maybe by the end of next month as high as 4p, and probably much more given the strength of the news and the gap to the upside. Stock which is on the Aquis market, and obviously somebody has to look at stocks on the Aquis market. At the moment it's me. Here we've got a break of a resistance line on EDX from back in June 2021. I've also got a rising 50-day moving average as well, so above the 3.5p zone, looking for as high as 8p at the top of that broadening triangle from July 2021, hopefully by the end of this July for EDX. Moving along to another stock which looks as though it may have reached the bottom of the range. That is Guild Esports. Obviously many false dawns here, but an unfilled gap to the upside last week, and we've held the top of that gap at 0.7, above 0.7, looking for the shares to fill the gap up to a penny and maybe go on to 1.2p as soon as the end of next month. Going on to a requested stock, and one of the stocks which had decent news regarding Rio today, Greatland Gold. Here the picture the same really. The shares keep on making narrow new lows. We've got that range between 6.5 and 9p. Really want to see the 9p level broken on a weekly close basis. If we can do that, then it could be up to 13p or 14p, which is where the shares were last summer. Good points here would be if this latest gap remains unfilled, i.e. there's no break back below 7.4p or 7.5p. End of day close above the 200-day line at 8p would hopefully then give us a sign that we're going to head up to 9p and break the broadening triangle base that we've had there since September last year. But at the moment still wanting to see a sustained break of 9p, really. That's probably the best way forward there. Another stock on Aquis, because I really appreciate Aquis so much, is Hydrogen Future Industries. Here we've got the shares in focus because we've got both the 50 and 200-day moving averages rising above the 200-day line at 5.5p, looking for 8p, hopefully as soon as the end of next month. Best case scenario target here over the next 2 to 3 months would be a move back to 11p, while we will remain above that 5.5p level. The reason for the relative optimism here is that we have broken through a rising 250-day and 50-day moving average, and that does suggest that we have a major trend change in the stock. So let's see if the technicals work there. Stock which hasn't had much publicity here is Malvern International, but here we've got another of those trendline breaks that happened basically last month, around 15 pence. About 15 pence, we're looking for the shares to hit the top of that rising trend channel from July 2021 as high as 32 pence as soon as the end of next month. I've covered the next stock quite a few times and keeps on delivering. Here we've got Quantum Blockchain breaking that line of resistance around 2 pence. Above that, we're looking for the shares to hit the top of a rising trend channel from July last year as high as 2 3/4 pence by the end of next month. 50 and 200-day lines now rising, which is the reason for inclusion today, as are the multiple tests of that uptrend line in the RSI window. So this could be a big mover. Onto a stock which gets battered by the bears on an almost daily basis. Not sure why. It's obviously very unfair, but at the moment, slight improvement in the technicals at Tern. The reason for saying that is that we've got bullish divergence, so lower lows for the end of May, but higher RSI trace, so that does suggest a turnaround could be on its way, or that the bears are losing a bit of momentum. The other point to note there is that we bounced off a falling support line there from back in October. That does suggest that even if the shares don't do too much, they could at least head back towards the 5.25 area, 5.25 pence area, which is the 50-day line and that December resistance line projection. Just a couple to go now. First one is Tirupati, and here you can see that shares are rising above a rising 50-day moving average, so we're expecting recent 38 pence resistance to break. Above that, looking for 55 pence as soon as the end of next month. Stop loss at 32 pence, and double bounce for the RSI on the neutral 50 level. Finishing off with one of the stocks of the month in terms of recovery and news. Here we've got URA Holdings just breaking into new higher ground above the initial resistance there around the 2.6 pence level. The longer we stay above that, the greater the chance of a move not only to the top of that rising trend channel from March last year at 4.25 pence, but also up to 5.5 pence, ideally by the end of next month. And you can see that the shares have left an unfilled gap to the upside and have both 50 and 200-day moving averages rising, which does suggest extra momentum will be coming into play quite soon. Only back below the 50-day line at 2 pence, really delaying the upside scenario. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.